Let's move on to the greatest flop 11 in the Premier League era ever. And we're obviously talking the mixture of the weight of expectation for a transfer, whether it's hundreds of millions, whether it's a couple of million, compared to how absolutely shocking they were. I can throw a couple out in goal, and we can kind of pick the formation as we go along. Taibbi at Man United, absolutely disastrous. I think he's replacing Schmeichel directly, wasn't he? If that's my memory. He's a shortlist for me. I have to go with Kepa, though, because of the money. I know Taibbi was a big name coming from, I think, Italy, and he made that howler, went through his legs, etc.
Chris Sutton. He had the game at Southampton, didn't he?
Yeah. But you have to say Kepa for me, because the money, if you scaled that money back to Taibbi times, early 2000s, that's like hundreds of millions of pounds. Like Kepa's 75, 80 million pounds for that. He's worse. He's a Spanish Shay Given.
No, he's like Kepa Arrizabalaga is definitely arguably the worst, but you have to factor in many other things. You have to factor in who we replacing Courtois. You know, we lost a keeper who went on to win a European Cup and be man of the match in a European Cup final to bring in a keeper who clearly isn't good enough to play in the Premier League. He cost 70 million quid. He was on a massive contract. We put him on 7 years. So all of that, but looking at strictly the performances, I think it's a bit harsh on Kepa. Like, I don't like Kepa. He's not good enough to be Chelsea keeper. But I don't think he's the worst. His performances aren't the worst. The whole deal is potentially the worst. I think for the worst ever, I think Taibbi is a shout. Ben Foster? Just Ben Foster as a goalie, a Premier League goalie.
What
worst ever?
What move?
No, like just as a goalie.
No, but we've got to talk about a transfer in particular.
Oh, right. We can't just talk about his performances in the Premier League.
So, for example, Veron goes to Man United. That transfer is way worse than when he went to Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? That kind of the transfer itself.
Yeah. I mean, he was bad at Chelsea.
So you're saying Ben Foster, Watford to Man United?
Just his time at Man United.
Poor. Yeah. Do you just not like his YouTube channel?
No, I like it. I like him. I'm playing the game. I'm playing the game fairly.
I don't think Ben Foster
with no favour. I'm playing the game with no favour or bias.
Ben Foster's a bit of a round. I think he's a young prospect.
Well, he say that it was all taken too seriously at Manchester United.
Right, I see what you mean.
Which
not
elite winners.
He's
mentality.
a West Brom legend, and that is all you need to know.
Okay, so but
Kepa or Taibbi?
No, there's more than this.
Yeah, any others?
Oh, there's worse goalkeepers than this. There must be.
Big money moves over. I can't think of too many big
Bosnich at Chelsea was bad.
Yeah.
Bosnich to Chelsea was a bad
That's
one.
another Chelsea one I've not thought of.
Yeah, I'm just trying to... I mean, I could almost do this just Chelsea players. Bosnich to Chelsea was a bad one. Right, the worst goalkeepers around.
Mignolet to Liverpool.
He was all right.
The other geezer at Liverpool. The other geezer, the handsome chap who loves to concede goals. He was in goal for their cup final, European Cup final.
What, Dudek?
No. Blondie.
Oh, Karius.
Yeah.
That's a shout.
Blondie.
That's a shout.
Yeah.
Karius is a great shout. Have it. You pick the first one.
So you just go Massimo Taibbi.
I think we've got to go Taibbi.
Yeah.
You replaced Schmeichel, wasn't it, directly? And that was massive.
Taibbi, even Chris Sutton scored against him, and he's going to be in this team. Actually,
he is actually. He's in my team. Yeah. Right back, I can pick this one if it works for you, unless you have any mad shouts. Maicon comes to Man City. I mean, you barely even remember he even came to Man City, which says it all. I know he got done by Gareth Bale. I know that. But he was a treble winner with Mourinho. Powerful. Great on the ball. He scored that goal against North Korea in 2010 in the World Cup. Unbelievable. Comes to Man City. I don't know what happened to his legs.
Yeah.
His legs were made of jelly.
Yeah. Okay, Maicon's in.
Centre-backs.
Right, worst centre-half transfers ever. Okay, this is going to be good.
We need a Chelsea one in there.
Why? You don't need one. It's not a prerequisite. You don't need a Chelsea.
It is. That's how bad it is.
No.
That's how bad it is. Honestly, that's how bad it is.
What are you thinking? Khalid Boularus.
He's up there, isn't he?
Khalid Boularus.
Tell Benaim.
Mate, we could do...
Europe.
Honestly, we could do a Chelsea back line of Asia Del Horno, Tal Ben Haim, Khalid Boularus. Like, this is bad. This is really bad.
I've actually thought of one, but I have to throw in Koulibaly.
Yes, really bad.
It's a bit boring with all the contemporary ones, but
because of Thogden as well.
Yeah, Thogden and all that, and he was
Thogden loved Koulibaly.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about what happened to me and Thogden with regards to Koulibaly?
No.
Thogden he goes to loads of football, doesn't he? He goes to loads of Napoli games, and we signed Koulibaly. And I was working with him doing the Saturday social. I went, mate, I'm not sure about this geezer. What do you think? He went, Rory. When he kind of pauses, he's all animated. He pauses. Yeah. looked me in my eyes and he went, Rory, he will be Defender of the Year. He will be your Player of the Year. Koulibaly is the guy.
Jeez.
I went, sweet. Went on the show. They went, what do you think about Koulibaly, Rory? I was like, well, I think he's going to be the guy, really. He told me that. I was like,
Never listen to Fogden.
no,
He's a
I won't.
Bolton Wanderers fan.
I've learned. I'll never listen to Fogden again. There we go.
Do you know what centre back I've just come up with? Rio Ferdinand, QPR.
QPR era. Yeah.
That was awful. They had to play him in the back three with Richard Dunn.
There was a moment when I saw him end up sort of tangled up in the net, like bearing in mind how good and graceful Rio Ferdinand was. I remember he sort of tried to clear one off the line. It didn't work. He's in the net, all like tangled up.
Yeah, getting
Like,
turned
Rio,
inside
what
out.
are you doing?
Yeah.
What
Legs made of Weetabix at that point.
There's just no reason for you to be doing this to yourself.
Yeah, I loved it. I love seeing it with Harry Redknapp. A big one that we don't talk about, Roger Johnson.
Roger Johnson
Because
at
he was
Birmingham.
there with Scott Dan with the kind of the Alex McLeish
Yeah.
as manager. Really good defender for Birmingham City. Helped them win the League Cup
Yeah.
against Arsenal. Goes to Wolves, which was massive for them at the time. Mick McCarthy was thinking, here's a top level centre half. Makes a move across Birmingham. £7.5 million. He was awful. He instantly got them relegated. I think he actually had back-to-back relegations with Birmingham and then Wolves. I think he crashed his car.
No, but Roger
drunk
Johnson's
as
not
well.
as exciting.
It's not. I know. You have to throw a
this needs
few
to be a
weird
bit
ones in
exciting,
there. You have to throw any weird ones for you. Any left field shouts?
Worst centre halves ever. I mean, the geezer who played for Leicester this year, that phase. That
Fayez.
Terrible.
Oh, he's awful.
Yeah. In terms of right, we're doing it in terms of transfers though, not just in terms of performances. Nah, okay, I'm with you.
Left back. I was going to put in Cucurella, but there's so many contemporary
Hang on
ones.
a
It's boring.
minute. For centre halves, I've thought of two potentials.
Yeah.
David Luiz to Arsenal.
Yeah. I don't think it was that
William
bad.
Gallas to Arsenal. Crying on the centre side.
That was embarrassing.
William Gallas is in this team.
Gallas of Spurs. That was
Fine.
worse.
Fine.
Gallas of Spurs.
I just
All right,
want-
you throw
Gallas
Gallas
is in
in
this
there
team.
instead of Roger Johnson. Left back Wayne Bridge to City.
Yeah, that didn't work.
Put him on $100,000.
Do you know Wayne Bridge? He's so candid. Have you ever heard Wayne Bridge talk about Mancini? I know you love Mancini, right?
Yeah.
I know that. But if you can kind of disassociate from the love and bias, Wayne Bridge is just so honest. Generally when we hear footballers talk about experiences and stuff, it's all done in a PR way, isn't it? Wayne Bridge talking about Mancini is so fascinating.
Is it? Yeah.
Because he basically just goes like this. This would be like me and you talking in the pub, mate. He basically just goes, I hate him. I'm like, how did you find working with Mancini? Bit of a prick. It's like that. It's amazing. It's really,
He never
really
backed him. He never backed Wayne Bridge. Maybe
No.
he was past his sell by date. I
very
don't know.
good player, Wayne Bridge.
Yeah, I liked it. I
Very
loved
good,
him when
very
he joined City. I couldn't believe we
He
signed
was
him.
very
from you.
unlucky that his surge of brilliance coincided with Ashley Cole being the best in the world ever.
Well, he's unlucky that John Terry got had a little bit with his wife.
It wasn't his wife.
He was his girlfriend.
It was his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
See, you can't... See, this is
But
the
he's
thing.
now married
Fake
to
news.
Frankie from the Saturdays. So
Yeah.
fair play
go,
to him.
Go.
I don't know any of their songs. And the
Time
fact
to
you
make
do,
a
you can't talk
move
about
and
anything
we go.
cultural now.
No.
No, you can't say anything
It's
cultural now.
time to step it up a notch. I'm ready to lose
That's
touch.
embarrassing.
Mate,
no.
This is
You
the
slagged me off for
final
watching
for
James
our
Bond.
destination.
No.
Yeah, because you're an adult.
Yeah, you were an adult singing the Saturdays. She was in S Club Juniors.
She was in my school.
God. Midfield 2.
2.
I've already said it. I have to throw in Veron. 30 million back then in 2002, 3, that kind of period of time. Mate,
Do you know I was
that's
at
200 million
Anfield
quid.
on his debut? He scored for Chelsea at Anfield.
Yeah.
We beat them 2-1. It was Abramovich's first game. Hasselbank scored a last-minute winner. And I remember being in the away end there. Do you know what we were singing? You know the Gary Glitter song? Come on.
I don't know it. No.
We were doing that, but for Veron. It was really good. And then he was terrible. But when he arrived, it was weird because he was such a talented footballer.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
You know when he was at like Lazio? It's like amazing.
Yeah.
And yet he just couldn't really get it right. That outside of the boot pass that he could do that.
It was surreal.
Oh, talking of that, I've just thought of someone who should probably be in this. When Chelsea signed Quaresma.
Wow, yeah. Charisma's right up there.
Chelsea could be in
Honestly, there's
Quaresma.
so many.
So many
When we
flops
get to
at
the
Chelsea.
forward lines, it's embarrassing. Another one, Aquilani.
I'm your biggest fan. I'll follow you until you love me.
You've brought up Lady Gaga, Gary Glitter, and the Saturdays and the Is everything all right at home? Talk to me. You can always WhatsApp
Mate,
me.
that's what Liverpool fans were singing for him.
We can't reference Gary Glitter on any more podcasts, by the way. We're struggling as it is. We can't lose any more followers.
Can I put what's his name? Yossi Benayoun.
You know, which one? He was everywhere. West Ham,
Chelsea,
Liverpool,
terrible at Chelsea.
Arsenal.
He was
at Arsenal.
terrible. Well, he went to Arsenal on loan from Chelsea and like celebrated when they beat us.
Yeah. What was
He's
he
in
doing?
this.
What was he doing? Came from obviously a fantastically famous European country in Israel. Benayoun. Okay, you throw in Benayoun.
Benayoun's
Awful
Chelsea.
player. He had one good season at West Ham.
Steve Sidwell, Chelsea.
God, from Reading. God, if you're signing a player from
Number
Reading,
9, central midfielder, number 9.
weird. He lives off those Chelsea stories for his rest of his career.
Yeah.
Bless him. What is it? Sidwell and Veron or Benayoun and Veron? 2 CMs.
Benayoun.
On the right, David Bentley.
For what
Spurs.
move? Tottenham.
Yeah,
Mate,
he was
I don't
world
think so.
class at Blackburn. World
Mate,
class.
but that goal he scored at the Emirates, man.
Yeah.
Scored from the halfway
What
line
goal that
practically,
was.
didn't he? In that 4-all draw.
What goal that
Do you know? I saw David Bentley. I was raving. There used to be this thing, right, in a place called Vibe Bar, which was on Brick Lane. They used to do a Sunday there, right? It was 93 feet east and Brick Lane and Vibe Bar. And on a Sunday, this is over a decade ago. On a Sunday, it was like a really good daytime thing. Like get down there at 12, good drink and that, really fun. I went into the toilet and they're having a wee, right? It's David Bentley. I was like, all right, I've got a photo. I'm going to send you the picture.
Please do.
All right, mate. Went out, told my mate. My mate went, Birmingham are playing now. He should be there. It was the day he was named on the bench somewhere. It was away at Birmingham, I think. He was named on the bench and he was just like, I'm not on the bench. And he drove home. But he didn't go home. Like
went
the
straight to Brick
press
Lane.
story was that he went home.
Wow.
Yeah, he's in Brick Lane, just having he's
crazy.
like drinking cider.
Interesting story. He's one of those rare footballers that really hated football.
The talent of him, though. I remember he scored a
his
goal for
ability.
Blackburn. It might have been against Manchester United, where he's just like pinged it into the.
Talent was unbelievable.
That was a good team. That. Do you remember that Morton Gamps Pedersen
Yeah.
Blackburn side?
Yeah, unbelievable. Samba,
guy.
Nelson,
Two guys.
Robinson
Remember
in
two guy
goal.
up front.
Yeah, that bloody
Yeah.
the keeper Brad Friedel.
Yeah.
What a team that
Ryan
was.
Nelson, the Kiwi.
Yeah, Ryan Nelson. The heir to David Beckham, and he
Yeah,
ended up playing in Russia, Rostov.
Did he really?
Yeah, weird move. Then he retired. Okay, so not David Bentley. I have to throw in Mudryk.
Hang on a minute. No, too early.
Okay,
No.
Sanchez,
What's
Alexis Sanchez.
to Man United?
Yeah, have to.
Maybe. You know,
£500
I've
a
just thought of somebody that should potentially be in our midfield here. Naby Keita.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen, did it? Like Naby Keita. Like, have we been a little bit harsh on who did we put? Yossi Benayoun. Mate, should Paul Pogba be in this team?
Yeah, we should.
Should Paul? Hang on a minute. I think Paul. Like, look, Yossi
£90 million.
Benayoun. There were no expectations on Yossi Benayoun. There were so many. There were, like all of the whole world's expectations on Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. It's Yossi Benayoun.
Well, I mean, everyone. I mean, imagine this. I move on to a new football podcast in the future. Let's just say.
Why would you do?
Theoretically.
I don't want to live in this fake world. It's horrible.
And in the trailer, they wheel out Stormzy
What again?
to
You're
rap
moving again.
about me. Yeah. Oh, Buvey's joining the whatever podcast it is, right? And they got Stormzy
Maybe
to
you
do a
go
rap.
back.
It's not Stormzy, is it? It was Stormzy.
It was Stormzy.
And it was Pogba.
It was
and
called
Stormzy.
Pogback.
Pogback.
Do you get it? It's like a pun on Pogba.
Yeah,
Pogba
exactly.
back.
And you got your London Croydon Man United fan coming up. How embarrassing was that in Stormzy? And
Yeah, I think Paul Pogba has to be in this team. It's ridiculous. He is the biggest flop of all.
I've never seen anything like it.
You know, in terms of flops, right? Fernando Torres, Paul Pogba are the two biggest flops because of what was expected.
Money times talent times waste.
Expectation,
Yeah.
love, euphoria. Like when we signed Torres, mate, I cannot tell you, I've never been more excited.
Really, yeah.
Honestly, my mate at the time was banned from Chelsea. Right, he was on a ban. He's not allowed to go. He's like, mate, you've got to get me in. I've got to be there. Because we played Liverpool in Torres' first game.
Yeah.
We got beat. I think it was Daniel Agger and Carragher. They all were going through Torres. Torres got subbed, gave him dog's abuse. But I've never really known a signing like it. Maybe when I was a kid, Ruud Gullit.
Yeah.
We signed Ruud Gullit, and I think people went a bit crazy. You know, Ballon d'Or winner, European Cup winner coming to Chelsea. That was one. But in my adult life, only Torres has ever had us kind of going mad. and it was a flop, and that's why he has to be in it, because of the expectation. Look, he scored big goals. You know, he went round Victor Valdez in the Nou Camp. It's one of our biggest goals ever.
Who did he score against first? Was it West Ham?
West Ham.
That mud,
The ball got stuck in the mud. I've never seen a celebration like it. When we scored when he scored, I think it was 19 games, you know. 19.
I thought it was 21.
Was it? Maybe. When he scored that day, it was as if Chelsea had won the European Cup. You know, for the celebrations. Mate, it's pouring with rain.
Mental how long
and the ball got stuck in the mud. It did him a favour. Because everybody expected the ball to move. It didn't. But I think that he is most certainly in this because of... Look, he did more. He did more for Chelsea than Yossi Benayoun. But there's no expectations on... Boom, 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 boom. It's Yossi Benayoun, right? There's no expectations.
Wenger boys, Gary Glitter, the S Club Juniors, for God's sake.
Right. So Torres has to be in it. Pogba has to be in it.
Okay, Pogba. We've got Pogba, Veron in CM. We still need 2 wingers. We've got 1 striker. I can give you... We need 2 wingers then, mate. What about Quadrado?
Juan Quadrado.
Yeah.
Mate, Juan Quadrado.
This is Chelsea FC, innit?
No, Juan Quadrado.
We have to throw him in there. Yeah, he was mate,
No, he was
everyone's
useless.
raving about him. Raving about him.
Juan Quadrado. I forgot he even existed,
No.
mate.
What about Liechtensteiner? Arsenal.
Oh, yeah.
Liechtensteiner.
Do you remember
Andy
they had
Santos.
Who did they have? Kim Kallstrom.
Yeah, fucking hell. Maybe we should throw in Kim Kallstrom as an option and put him tucked in inverted midfielder.
Maybe Alexis Sanchez could be in there.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, he was arguably, for me, by the way, he was a better player than Hazard in his prime in the Premier League. That's just my opinion. So I think, and then he moves to Man United. You think he's going to already improve Man United? Was it Mourinho he went for?
Yeah.
You think, and he was shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking. Sanchez gets in. We need 1 more winger. Any standouts?
What wingers have totally flopped? Think of all clubs here. Nicolas Pepe.
75 million.
Nicolas Pepe.
That was poor. Sancho.
Jadon Sancho. It's still early though. For
Too early. Yeah.
Although, is it?
It's been 3
Well, he's
years.
still there, I suppose.
It's 3 years.
Pepe's gone, hasn't he?
He's been loaned. He might come back. He's been loaned. He's got time. I think he's got time. There must be a winger out there. What about someone like an Ali Dyer for Southampton?
If you
Is he a winger?
just start putting rubbish players in, then it's not the same, is it? Like then you just end up sticking Kevin Kilban in or whatever. Like it's not just about rubbish players. It's not just about rubbish players. It's about like Fernando Torres is obviously a better player than Kevin Kilban.
What about Stoke when they signed Jesse Rodriguez?
Yeah,
We have
they've
to
had a
put
few.
one of
Didn't they
them
have
weird-
Bojan at one point?
Bojan. They had so many, didn't they? They had Shaqiri.
Yeah, Enter Shaqiri.
That's another band we've thrown in there. And they're the best band, which says it all. Enter Shaqiri. I know he took his cap once at Reading. He was there. I know he ripped his cap off. I was so pissed. Okay, we'll throw in Enter Shaqiri. No, we'll throw in Jesse Rodriguez. I think that's a fair one. A few strikers. See what you think of these. Chris Sutton.
Yeah,
he scored 1 goal in his first season at Chelsea. 10 million quid.
He's in.
Question then. 10 million quid then, 1999. What's that today? 180 million quid?
Yeah.
That's not even, isn't it?
Yeah.
10 million back then.
I'd say it's tenfold. I'd say it's 100 million.
100 million for Chris Sutton.
Yeah. But at the time, mate, he'd won the league.
No, I know.
It wasn't like a terrible sign.
No, yeah, I remember the...
And I remember when we signed Paul we signed Paul Furlong earlier. We could have signed Sutton for 5, and we were like, oh no, too dear. Then we went back and paid 10. We're like, okay, well we've got to do it now. Terrible, mate.
Yeah,
absolutely terrible. Like just an abysmal.
Did you loan him out the season after?
Just got rid, I think.
Yeah, got rid of. Mutu?
Adrian Mutu was a brilliant player though. Booth. He's not in this list. He was a drug addict, but he was a
Kesman?
wicked footballer. Kesman was a terrible footballer.
Francis
You're just doing Chelsea. What are you doing?
No, I'm giving you... No, I'll give you our Arsenal one.
Oh.
Francis Jeffers.
The old fox in the box. Do you remember? The fox in the box. That's what Wenger said. I need a fox in the box.
And they signed Francis
Went off
Jeffers.
to get Francis Jeffers.
You know, that was weird, wasn't it? Falcao?
Oh, Radamal. He was terrible for us. My God, he was terrible.
Shocking, wasn't he? But he's probably worse for Man United.
But he wasn't as bad as Sutton.
No? Okay, so Sutton's still in there. You've already put Torres in, but there's 2
But I
for
think-
me that I have to throw in
Go
there.
on.
If it was me only. Michael Owen to Newcastle because of the height, because of the Ballon
He
d'Or.
ended up playing as a midfielder, though, didn't he? He ended up playing
Newcastle?
deep.
Was he
yeah.
playing deep and all that? That's because of injuries and he had to come deep.
Well, he stopped. He didn't want to run.
Yeah.
We spoke about it. He was worried about his injury.
£18 million.
Who spent that?
Newcastle.
80?
18.
Oh, 18.
18.
Right.
Record transfer for Newcastle until the Saudi Arabian money came
Was
in.
it really?
I think maybe Joe Linton just before that. But he was a record transfer for a long time at Newcastle. And he delivered nothing. Even I remember when they were getting relegated for the first time in the Premier League era. And he was kind of sat on the bench, kind of was there this question about if he wants to even come on.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
moves to Man United as a former Liverpool player. So I think Owen has to have a shout. And then, of course, a former Ballon d'Or winner, Shevchenko. How you describe Torres in terms of the excitement, I had that as a third party because I was watching City. We were terrible, boring. Shevchenko coming to the league as a neutral. Wow. I thought he was going to score 100 goals.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought he was going to score 100 goals.
And there were
Awful.
moments where you just thought, this bloke is unbelievable. Like, I remember we went to Tottenham for a night game. We beat them 2-0. Funnily enough, Wright Phillips scored a blinder that night as well. But mate, Shevchenko's goal that he scores that night, cuts back, right? He's on the edge of the box on the right-hand side. He cuts back with his right foot and just left foots it into the opposite corner. You know, and you're just like, hang on a minute. If you can do that easily, just do it a little bit more often. He isn't in this list though, so it wasn't as bad as people are making out.
Sutton's in there.
Sutton was one of the worst footballers I've ever seen play. And Torres doesn't really deserve it. The only reason he's in there is because of the expectation.
Yeah.
Like Torres and Shevchenko were fairly similar. And they were both all right. But it was the expectation. That's why. It was the money and the expectation and what should have been delivered. Like, you know, if Torres had been the Torres of Liverpool, you know, if he had put in the performances, you know, when the cop was bouncing to the na 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 na. If he could have been that, Chelsea would have just won everything. Honestly, I think the treble would have happened. We were so desperately in need of him. And when he landed, we had everything else. We had Essien, we had Lampard, we had a defence that was so frugal, we had a spine, we had a manager, we had everything. The only thing that we didn't have was
Who's the
Fernando
manager?
Torres. Well, in the end, we bought in Benitez. We tried to bring in Benitez for him, and then he was there for AVB. But we had everything. We were ready. We were a coiled spring, ready to win a European. And in fairness, it did happen. It just didn't happen in the way that it should have.
Barcelona, Gary Neville lost his nuts, didn't he?
Oh, mate, when he went round Valdez, the other thing that people forget, Booth, which I know you'll appreciate, is very important. Like, Torres scored in a European final. Chelsea are the only ever team to have simultaneously held the Europa and the Champions League at the same time. So we had both trophies for a week. The reason that we had the Europa League was because we went and beat Benfica. He scored in the final. You know, Ivanovic scored the winner, but Torres opened.
Would you rather have 100 goals or the few he did score of?
Two of the most iconic goals in Chelsea history. A final in Amsterdam and going round Valdez.
Give me one with Sutton then.
Sutton just appalling.
Yeah, but Sutton's up there, and then we need another to play with him in the 4-4-2.
I thought you were asking me for like a moment of Sutton.
Lukaku?
Like, there isn't one. God, Lukaku.
Bad, isn't it? But there's two. He's nearly cost clubs 200 million
I think
quid.
Lukaku could be it. Oh my God.
Yeah, Lukaku to Man United, was that work? But he scored
No,
a few in the
Lukaku to
first.
Chelsea this time when he went off and
Went to
did that
Sky-
interview.
Sky Italia.
That's it, isn't it? Hang on, that's it.
Sutton and Lukaku.
I think
About
that's
one
it.
goal every 50 games, isn't it? Embarrassing. Okay, very keen to see what you think in the comments down below. And if you're listening at home,